Good morning and salutations, family and friends. It is just about 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on July 2nd, 2022. Hope our creator is keeping you well and safe wherever you are in the world. Please make sure to hit that notification bell if you happen to be new, along with the subscribe button. And please make sure to like and share this across other platforms so that we can let people know what's going on out in our solar system. We are starting off today on Solar Ham. We're going to come on down and we're going to take a notice first. We did have an event mode. We're starting to rebound now. This is the arrival from that glancing blow coronal mass ejection I had forecasted out a few days ago. And as you can see yesterday, July 1st, towards the end of the day, we actually started to come, our BZs began to drop, got down to below -6 and above +6, where we actually were in our event for a G1 magnetic storm, a geomagnetic storm level 1. As we come down here and take a look at our Ace Mag and Sweet Pam, get a little bit more detail on it. There we go. We can see our -5, and it came down quite nicely right around midnight. So it was between midnight yesterday and today we began having our event, and it does look like we have actually done quite a hard rebound right here, back up to above 0. I mean, that was a pretty hard bounce. We came back from that pretty good. This was our impact. This was our density here, our density in plasma, and then density kind of came back down. Speed wasn't really much of a speed, not much solar wind with it. It was just more plasma than anything. Temperature, we had a little temperature spike and then came back down. So that's good at least. Now backing on out of this, we're going to come on up and we're going to take a look at our KP index. This right here, of course, is our impact. This is planetary KP index. We came up to about a 4, got up to a -5, and then came right back down into the 3 here at College Station. Again, we also came up, we had 2 bars of 5 and then came back down. College Station is closer to where I'm at, so this is a little bit better. Up here in Boulder, Colorado, you guys had 3 3-hour blocks of KP5. That's quite a bit of plasma there. Now we're going to back on out of here and we're going to take a look at our solar holes. We're going to come right up here and take a look. This is our coronal hole that we got, solar hole, coronal hole. This is going to be impacting the planet here in the next probably 4 or 5 days. We'll start getting the solar winds from this coronal hole 97. It's a pretty decent sized hole actually, and it will be facing us in the next 2 to 3 days. But remember, the solar winds from these don't affect us typically until they get over here, because they are swirling around. So once it gets about over here, which will be about 4 or 5 days, we'll start having the coronal hole impacts. We'll go ahead and back on out of this. I'm not seeing anything else as far as major hitters. We had a long B flare, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. There were some prominence ribbons dancing, but nothing really major to be worried about. Nothing escaped the sun surface. We've got active region 3045 that's going to be turning to face us, the larger of them. However, 3040 is over here, still a player. Still have to see what's going to happen with it. It does have friends that are somewhat close, but we will have to give this a wait and see what happens with it. We can see that they're really close together, but again, they're almost side by side. They're still kind of at an angle, as I was bringing up yesterday, which is kind of weird. But we will wait and see what happens with those guys over the next couple days. And we are going to look over at our SDO, and we are looking at 211 angstroms of light going from the 30th. This is 48 seconds of it, so we can actually kind of get a little bit broader view of it. We might actually get to see the moon cross over again. But these are our coronal holes, folks. We've got one here. This is 97. I believe this is 98. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 coronal holes, and it looks like we've got a darker one trying to form here. But we'll have to wait and see. Once again, this coronal hole, this will be affecting us once it gets over here, which will be in about 4 or 5 days. I'm not seeing any kind of prominence. I mean, we've got a little lift here, but if you look here, it looks like it's actually coming right up over here into this circular area, like something's drawing the energy over here into this region. You guys see that? You guys see it swirling? I don't know if this will let me zoom in on it. No, it won't. Believe it or not, I'm actually not on ISWA. I'm actually over at Solar Dynamic Observatory looking at their, and I have these pulled up to kind of look at, and I can't zoom in on them, which is really kind of a booger. But it is what it is. Now coming over here to spaceweather.com. Folks, I've come over here for a particular reason. I've been hearing a bunch of different talk about meteors and asteroids coming close to the Earth. Now, I am always watching it. This right now at spaceweather.com, they're actually talking about noctilucent clouds. This is a very interesting article. It kind of explains noctilucent clouds. I recommend everybody come on over here and give this a read on what noctilucent clouds are and how they work and how they form, stuff like that. But today I'm wanting to talk mostly about the fireballs, okay? Meteors, asteroids, stuff like that. This is what we got going from June 20th. We had one that was 0.9 lunar distances, basically between us and the moon. Lunar distance is one distance between us and the moon. Okay, this one's 0.4. As of yesterday, it was 4 meters across, so just over 12 feet. This one was 12 meters across. Moving at 9 kilometers per second, that's actually pretty slow. And odds are, this one here, less than half the distance, this actually impacted. Okay, I fully believe that this was drawn into the Earth and it burned up in the atmosphere, because that's pretty close for it being that small. It would absolutely be drawn in. This one here, yeah, quite possibly, but once again would also burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. But this is what we're looking at for recent. Anything somewhat less than 5, it's light pink, and then it turns darker once it gets less than 1. Look at the size of this one, 756 meters across. Okay, so now it's 17.6 lunar distances, and it's traveling at 22.9. That's not going to come in close. However, there's been a lot of discussion about meteors. My father actually said that he was seeing one that's saying it's 3/4 the size of Mount Everest, and it's going to be coming. And I've been seeing one from Dr. Burchard, Gil Burchard, who talks about Planet X a lot. And let me get over here to it. And actually, the other gentleman is I'm trying to remember his name for the life of me. I'm gonna find this little clip for everybody to hear, so stand by. Okay, his name is Stephen Ben-Nun. Okay, and he has Israeli News Live, and he's a believer and follower of Dr. Burchard. I follow Dr. Burchard and Planet X news as well. And there's a very interesting part of this I want you guys to watch.
Our U.S. government is tracking 3 systems. I mentioned to you how that the Vatican, they are the gatekeepers. Let me just pull up the Lucifer telescope.
Lucifer telescope, it's in the United States.
This is the Vatican's own telescope that they actually have designed.
Now, that information is incorrect. The Vatican did not design it. It was actually designed, bought, and paid for by the United States, and it was done, but the Vatican basically came over with a bunch of money and forced their way in and bought it out. That's the truth of it. Now, he may not know that part of it, but I do. And they did rename the telescope Lucifer. No joke.
It was designed specifically for the purpose of being able to track Planet X, or the infamous Nibiru, whatever you want to call it. That's what they use to be able to follow this system. The U.S. government, they consider the Vatican the gatekeepers of this knowledge. They said they know it better than anyone. So we have, when I say we, that's the U.S. government and the Secret Space Force, and I actually get to be a part of just a tiny little piece of that group.
If it wasn't
there.
true, why would the Vatican be buying that out and keeping their eyes on it?
Penny's worth of information
if Nibiru wasn't
on
true,
ancient documents about
or
what
Nemesis
happened with Planet X when it passed in biblical times, what were the effects that it had. So it's been a pleasure for me to be able to be a contributor of that part, and I think that's one of the reasons why I get to learn a little bit more about.
Sorry, I'm trying to skip to the good parts.
At any rate, we are, I was told we were looking at 3 systems. One would be passing this year, an asteroid that would be coming by this year near the Earth. Another one in, they always say 2025, 2026, and 2029 and 2030, mainly on those latter 2 because they're dealing with December, January time frames right near the end of the year. So they're not really sure 100% what the actual true time would be of the passing of these asteroids, etc. However, those people that I know tend to lean towards the 29-30 time frame as being the real Planet X. But whether you speak to Gil Broussard, Marshall Masters, both men very brilliant, also Mike from around the world. And Mike, I know that Mike is more on the terrestrial side of the space type of exploration with the government.
All right, here's a little more meat and potatoes.
He's been bringing up here lately about, on his own channel, about an object appearing in the sky that'll be like, I think he said 2 moons that you'll see, etc. But I was in meetings Friday and this morning as well. And on Friday we were discussing. I actually brought this up because of some of the things that Mike was saying on Begley's program as well as on his own program, where he's talking about these meteorite showers that would be happening the end of May, going into June, and how that he spoke about there, be more than 1,000 an hour.
This is
So
from
I began to do some research,
the end of
find out,
May, beginning of this
what's going
June, the
on
meteor
here.
shower
But
that
then
we
I
had.
was reminded about the asteroid that's coming through that they had already told me about, and I've shared with you guys as well. But I know that they've always downplayed this particular asteroid with me. No one has ever made any big to-do out of it. But as I went through all the notes that I'd made about what Mike had said, one thing after another was confirmed, with the exception of the 1,000+ meteorites per hour. I was told, though, that we didn't know the number. The numbers had not been discussed in our circles as far as meteorites, but nothing really to worry about, that the majority of those would be landing in the oceans anyway, so it's not going to really be like affecting us on land that much. And that the other thing that was shared with me is that yes, there would be like bursts and things. You might get some that would cause
Sorry for the skips, folks, but it's kind of
I
necessary.
that with you guys, I believe, already on our broadcast here.
Listen to
How
this.
nuts is that? Antimatter weapon that's like 100 times the strength of a nuclear weapon.
And
talk about needing an EMP shield.
They want to use that
That's
on
one
these
of the first
meteors
things I said.
to
Would that
destroy
create
them.
an EMP strike on the Earth? They said, we don't even know for sure what it would cause, but most definitely so. So I'm thinking, okay, make sure we put EMP shield INL-50 in the box below for you guys, right?
Okay, now I'm going to back this up. Now listen to this part. This is the meat. This is the real meat and potatoes of it.
Guys, about this at all when I reported this the other day was when I asked, what's the size of the asteroid? I was told 3/4 the size of Earth.
That's monstrous. Can you guys imagine that? Now, think about this. Who remembers in the news a couple of years ago, they started talking about DART. The DART program, basically like a tungsten rod to go impact a meteor to send it off into a different trajectory so that way it wouldn't impact the Earth and whatever, right? Why would they be doing that? Well, because they already know about this comet coming through. 3/4 the size of the Earth. Could that be a planet? Most definitely. Could it be Nibiru or yeah. Attached to the Nemesis star? Yeah. So that's why I do what I do, folks, because some people have information and they leak it out, and I'm trying to do the same thing and spread it. Come over onto Rumble, Tambo, and this is where the published on June 2nd. If you want to watch the whole thing. So eyes open, no fear, and remember that love is the only way forward. Solar Wolf out.